Okay, Masechta Zevachim, Daf, Lamed Tes Amud Aleph. We're starting with Lamed Tes Amud Beis, 3 lines in the bottom. Okay, here we go. We'll give a short review. Papa said, from what do we know? That there was four matanis. According to Beis Hillel, the first matana was enough. That was the main thing that did the kapara. What about the other 3 matanas? What kind of a din do they have? So you can look. So he says Yesh Mahan is like it has all the dinim of the first matana, which is very stringent, and Yesh Mahan that has kisoif, like the shiraim that they put in the yisod. And it's not such a chumrah to gizav. Yeah, it's more lenient, much more lenient. So the Gemara said that one of the things that we brought out, that the 3, meaning after they sprayed the first time, the 3 sprays that came after it had the inyan of kibus. That if you got if the water sprayed on you before you sprayed the second one, third one, fourth, you have to wash your clothes or change your clothes. Like you say, you got to be clean. It's aveda. It's part of the aveda, and it has a din like the first spray, like the first one.
That's what the border right?
That's Nechemiah says that's the halacha. From where? So the Gemara says. So the Gemara asked on Rab Nechemiah, not on Rab Nechemiah. The Gemara asked, "I have Papa that according to you, what's your limit? Because you made a diuk. It says Vasher Yizam. Before you throw it, once you throw it and it sprays off the wall, and then you get a bloody. That's not going to possibly the avodah. So he says Vasher Yizam. Anything that's royed to be thrown on the wall, and while it's still royed, it falls on you. Still, it's part of the avodah. Then you have to wash your clothing. So the Gemara asked, Yashayiza. So by the shiraim also, before he's roy to spill the blood into the yisod, it's ra'ui v'ashayiza. It's only after it spills and it splashes on you, then it's not. You don't have to wash yourself. So they asked on your papa. So what do you? And you said that if it by the yisod, even royal yisod it's you don't need no kibbutz. So the Gemara says it follows Rab Nechemiah. Rab Nechemiah says, yeah, the shirayim, the dam that has to go into shirayim has the same severity like the first dam, that it's going to be tummy. So the Gemara says, from where? Because we know the halacha is, if you take the shirayim blood, chutz, outside the Beis Hamikdash, you're even like, just like any of the other.
Even the wine that's supposed to go into the yisod.
The wine that has to go into the yisod, even that wine, shirayim, the remnant, the leftover blood, and he takes it outside the Beis Hamikdash. It's chayiv. It's karis. If it's bebezeh, achatas is b'shegeg. So that was your raya, because you have a raya from chutz. In fact, that's your raya. How do you know it has to do with kibbutz? That's an inyan. The Gemara is going to say lagabe chutz, that you can compare shirayim to the varim. Varim are the limbs of the animal if you take it outside, or to bedarim, or the fats. Oh, but kibbutz is that's wegen kibbutz. That's the Gemara's kasha. Even the Shabbat Leili Abchia, 3 lines in the bottom. Say, when did you hear that Abchia said that it has a din? Yeah, when did you hear that Nechemiah says it has a din, like that if you take of a severity that Shaim has such a chomedik din? Only the gay leaning Allah, but the gay taking it outside the Beis Hamikdash. But the just like that, we'll say it's similar to the limbs and the fats, which is not part of the avodah, has nothing to do with the avodah. So yeah, there's a issue of chutz, but le'inyan kibbutz, but the gay to the kibbutz begadim, which is the shaim is not part of the avodah. Mishamet did Nechemiah ever say that you have to have your clothes clean if the shiraim, the blood spray, it falls on you or sprays on you? So yes, we find that Nechemiah also. Well, Tanya here it's not. Das has been a chutz Zakrashi. But Tanya and like we learned from the Braisa, he's bringing a right. This is Tanya. Well, Tanya he learned Stida from the Braisa. Here, but Tanya has been a chutz. But Tanya, I'll bring you a right. Yeah, that's right. The blood that's needed for the foundation of the mizbeach to unin kibbutz, that needs washing. Umashava, And it says that the machshavas pigul, if you had in mind, l'chutz lizmane, while you were pouring the blood into the yisod, mayelis man. It becomes. Wait, before you're going to pour it,
You want to do it after
that you're going to eat some of the cup after the zman, whatever it is, that you're going to eat after the zman, or.
No, how can they're already geschossen and everything is done already.
But eating, that you had in mind while you're pouring the blood into the yisod, you had in mind to eat it chutz l'mkaimei.
You're not eating the blood is going away.
No, eating the meat of the carbon. The blood is of that carbon that's matter. These are the dam is what is matter the carbon.
Isn't it the pigel has a bishas?
Any part of the avodah of dam. You had a machshavas, a pigel.
So becoming pour into the side is also part of the avodah.
Oh, so he's here. You see, yes. And the Nechemia says beferish my elas, my elas for him to be mefagel the carbon. That means shirayim is part of the avodah. And somebody brings it outside of the Beis Hamikdash, chayiv, but when you're talking about the blood that they sprayed into the stream, not into the Yisrael on the Mizbeach, they poured. There was blood that sprayed into the foundation of the Mizbeach, and then there was blood that they just dirty blood that they cleaned in the Mizbeach, on the floors. They would throw it. They would throw it into the stream. There was a stream. And we learned to think about it before. That blood they sold to the farmers. It was good for fertilizer. So he says those. That's not kodesh. It wasn't. It was on the floors of the of the Beis Hamikdash, and they would sweep it in.
Oh, so that wasn't the blood that was in any of the work.
No, the shirayim went into the yisod. Then you had blood that was all around the yisod. They swept it on the floors and they put it into the yama. That blood ain't. Dam hatamtzis is I don't remember all the dinim there. But other blood that was hanging around, even the pigel dam that was right. Hanishbachin la'ama that was poured into the yama. If you got sprayed from that blood, then you don't need to wash yourself. Only the blood that was on the way to the shrine is the last blood. And there, that blood that they threw into the Amma could have any machshav of the Wilson. It's a Gunnistelfen. Somebody brings that blood outside the base. I mean, it has no effect. It's nothing. It's part. It's called like Man Shamet the Oma. Who's the Tana that let us know from the Shiori Adam Bachutz? He's going to be Chayev. Reb Nechemia. It's Reb Nechemia. Reb Nechemia is the one that said, if you take the Shiori Adam outside the Beis Hamikdash, he's the only one that says it. So it's mentioned in this Baraisa. So it's obviously going according to Reb Nechemia, the whole Baraisa. Vika Oma, and one of the dinim this Baraisa mentions is Ton Kibus, that if he, while he was pouring the blood into the Yisod and sprayed on him, he says you need Kibus. So you have a Fedish Raya that Reb Nechemia holds you need Kibus. So, Frankie, what are you talking about? You're saying the machshava pigul when he's pouring the shiyari adam into the yisod and he has a machshava pigul, it passes the carbon. But Tanya, we learned beferish in another brayse yotzu. It's excluded from the avodas that one could only those dam that was used for the avodah. And somebody had a machshavas pigul in the Aveda, then it passes the carbon. But this Shiyari Adam is excluded from the Avedas. It's not part of the Aveda.
Before he said it was.
Oh, so that's what he's asking. But we learned in the Fedish Brais it's not so. Because he says Shirayim Aktoris Emurim She'ein Ma'akim Sakapara, that the Shirayim, if he didn't have Shirayim, or he didn't burn yet the Emurim, the fats on the Mizbeach, it's not ma'akiv the kapara. He's forgiven still, even if he didn't throw the shrayim into the yisod. She'ei machshav shall pigul ma'elas b'hem, and neither does pigul have an effect. He can have any machshav he wants during shiyori adam. That's not part of the aveda, so it's not going to be pigul. It's not going to be pigul. Shall pigul ma'elas b'hem, not mila. It won't help. Machshav pigul won't have an effect. So it's a stira. How could you say Reb Nechemia holds that the machshavas pigul helps? Says you want to keep Tanya that baraisa where it says the machshavas pigul takes an effect is b'shol shamatan shebechatoyis Shebachatois. It's talking about the 3 matanis of a chatas. That only there, the there it needs kibbutz. He's not talking about the shirayim. He's not talking about the. When it said in the first brayso, you need kibbutz. When it said adamim hataunin liyisod hamizbeach, tunin kibbutz, he wasn't talking about liyisod. He was talking about the 3 matanis. In fact, what are you talking about? Ihachi shtei tuunin hayisod. It says we're finished the blood that was needed for the yisod. Lekerenosli, that was made for to spray on the corners of the mizbeach. How do you say yisod? So it says the Gemara, amen it onin yisod. It say if those bloods that at the end will need to be put into the yisod of the mizbeach. So it's hashvarat, but that's what he's learning. Tunin yisod means the 3 matanes that will later on need to be poured down the yisod of the mizbeach.
What was the lashon that actually says?
It says Batanya domim hatu unin liyisod. The top words, the first 4 words, domim hatu unin yisod. So he says domim hatu unin yisod means the 3 matanes that eventually needs the yisod.
How do we learn before that? Means that the chronis we learn.
So originally we learned that shirayim liyisod is part of the aveda. Now he's telling no, it's not. That's befedish not. We have a brayso that says befedish not. But for Gemara, does it make sense? Machshava, my elders bahan that machshava will help to make a pigul by the 3 matanis after the first matana was done. We said once the first matana was done, according to Beis Hillel, he's mechuper. So how could you say pigul helps by the other 3 matanas? Oh, Mata, you said before, lo yishari lo mefagla lo me'ayla lo gavai. Kisayfan that these 3 matanis, first of all, sharia doesn't have an effect to be mata the rest of the carbon, the basa. It's the first one has. The other 3 have no effect. And also, it cannot become pigul by those 3 matanis. And meaning that if he took it outside the Beis HaMikdash, she's not going to be chayiv. Kisayfan, just like by the Shiari Adam. So there's no psul. I'm sorry, by bringing it into the heichal, taking the blood from the Mizbeach HaChitzain and bringing it into the Heichel by the Mizbeach HaPnimi, so from Isa from Achnosa. The Achnosa is Osa. Says Gemara, you're right. So what do we answer for that? You're saying by the 3 matanis, pigul helps? That's what you want to learn the Braisa means, that pigul helps by the second, third, and fourth? We know it doesn't.
What do you mean helps? You mean
That if it has an effect, if he has a machshava by the second matana, it shouldn't have an effect because the first matana did already the whole kapara. Ella Kitanya, he only that Baraisa. When did we learn Baraisa? First of all, we're going to tell you, we're slugging up this whole answer. We're referring Taka to the blood, the Shiyori Adam that they put in the Yisod. But which blood that was put in the Yisod? Kitanya, he, but Damim HaPnimim. He's talking about that the Damim of the Pnimim, the blood that they sprayed by the Mizbeach HaPnimi towards the Pareches. So they left by Par Elam Dava, Par Mashiach, Avodah Zarah. We had all these cases in Hayriyas. We had. So anyway, so he says that blood, once you had left over after spraying, there's 4 times you put on the Mizbeach and 7 times on the floor, you made stains. Some he did this way to go further, and then some he did this way to come closer to him. And he did stains of blood, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, till it reached to him 7. Okay, you had that. So he says over there, what happens with the leftover blood? He would have to go out of the heichel to the Mizbeach HaChitzoni and pour the blood there.
Oh, because there's no Yisod there.
There was no Yisod. Only by the Mizbeach HaChitzoni. And there, the kapara is only ended only when he puts the Shiori Adam. So there was taka part of the Haveda, a special chiyuv, and there it's part of the Haveda. What's going to be? What about the blood that you sprayed on the Mizbeach HaChitz and you had leftover blood and you put it into the potter? There you potter. It has no din of Haveda. So it doesn't make sense to me either. You want to give a contrast. The Gemara gave a chilik zwischen the Shiyori Adam and the Amas Hamayim. Shiyori Adam has 3 dinim. That it can be mefagel. He says, "Bachutz is chayiv." What was the thing? And tune and kibbutz. And Amas Hamayim doesn't need any of these three, right? So he says, why did you have to do a chilik between Shiyori Adam and Amas Hamayim? Do a chilik in Shiyori Adam itself. The Shiyori Adam b'pnimi, you're chayiv for all three. The Shiyori Adam b'chitzeni, you're the potter. So I'm going to say it inside. Why do you have to bring from Amas Hamayim to show a contrast? Adatoni, dom, manishmach ma'ama. What did you want to show a contrast in these three halachas between Shiyori Adam and Amas Hamayim? Live like we listen to the dog. Learn a chilik in Shiyori Adam itself. When do we say all these three dinim apply? The kibbutz, again, the kibbutz and pigul and chutz, only by damim hapnimim. Dam hachitzeni and potter, he's going to be potter. That's where you should have made the chilik. So the Gemara, it wouldn't be a contrast. I'm going to say it outside, because inside it won't register. It says outside, the answer is very simple. Reb Nechemi holds by the Shiyori Adam, you're right, it doesn't become pigul. There's no Isa of kibbutz if you got dirty. But he does hold that if you take it outside of the Beis HaMikdash, you're chayiv. So it's not as strong as a contrast as by Amas Hamayim. By Amas Hamayim, all three are potter. Versus Shiyori Adam, the Pnimi is all chayiv. But by Shiyori Adam, Hachitzeni versus Shiyori Adam, Hapnimi is only two. Because the Shiyori Adam, when you take it outside, even by the dam of the blood that was used for the Mizbeach HaChitzeni, if you take it out, you're still chayiv, just like the Pnimi.
Even though it's that dam that you want to put into the Yisod.
So, yes.
If you take it out,
you're going to be chayiv, even though it's not part of the Aveda by the Mizbeach HaChitzeni. So it's not as strong as a contrast. That's why he used Amas Hamayim as a contrast to the Shiyori Adam. A total contrast, right. So he says, Hamani, Rab Nechemi, the Alma Shiyori Adam sheikriv lachutz chayiv. And therefore, you don't have a contrast of three that are chayiv. That's why he didn't choose Shiyori Adam of Chitzani. He used Amas Hamayim. That's why he used Amas Hamayim. Now Ravina wants to go back to the first question that they asked on Rav Papa. Rav Papa said that only those blood that's fit, if that's fit for the Aveda, and you didn't yet do the Aveda, and it falls on you, no. But when he's about to spray the blood, no. That's not a problem. When he starts the Aveda is by the blood. When he sprays the blood, when he's about to say Kabbalas Adam is done by the Kohen. So now the Kohen, before he sprays the blood, if the blood falls on him, he has to wash his begotten. Once he sprays it, and it splashes off the wall on him, okay. That's okay. So he says that's so you see only if it's early, but if it came off the wall itself, he's going to be potter. So the Gemara asked from kibbutz. So the Gemara asked. You're saying, but royer chayiv. So say the same deal. It says if it splashed off the yisod of the mizbeach after pouring the blood, and then it splashed on you, you don't need kibbutz. But if you're on the way to pour it and it spills on you, you should say it's chayiv. So Avinu says we would never say that. That's not what it says. It's impossible that he said that the blood that was about to hit the blood that went into Yisod splashed upward and it sprayed him. He wants to tell you his potter. There's no need to say it. It's a joke, because Madoch after the third matana, right, that's where the Aveda is over. So you say he's not going to be chayiv. So here he finished the whole mitzvah. The Shiyori Adam went into the Yesod, and then it splashes up. Of course he's going to be potter.
To wash it for what purpose anymore?
I don't know if he's asking that. It could be that would be no more avodah. That could be too. Also, he says it's a joke, and he means the blood that obviously he never started off with that. You should be able to make a deal. The blood that splashes from after the Shiyori Adam on you, that's when you're potter. But if it's on the way down and it splashes on you, you're going to be chayiv. It didn't even start that way. He says lechatchila when he spoke about the yisod, he only spoke about the blood that's roy to fall into the yisod that spilled on you, because once it was spilled in the yisod on the Mizbeach, the Mishnah would never mention that. It's a joke. For sure, it's going to be potter. I hear he brings it down. So he says, Shema Beis, where is this? That once you already learned by the avodah, if it hit the corner and then it bounces off, you don't need kibbutz for sure. If it bounces off the yesod, you don't need kibbutz. But he says because the mitzvah was done already. Nasis of mitzvahs legamri. And then the mitzvah, of course, he's going to be potter. You have to be talking about the blood that's about to go in. So there you can. So the sefer is not talking about a case that first went in and it bounced off, and then you want to talk about royi. Only by the first matanis, that's where it's right. So he says your whole kasha doesn't start. Avinu Ama min hakeren is mamish. By the matanis, you start off. It bounced, you sprayed it, and then off the keren it bounces off. You're potter. But if it was on the way to the keren and you got dirty, that you can make a deal before you spray. But min hayisod, you're lachatchila talk. When you talk about yisod, you're only talking about haroi liyisod. That even that blood that's roi liyisod, you're going to be potter mikibus. Say Minat Ken was also talking about that it's ra'ui. He says when he's talking about the spraying the blood, say lechatchila by the blood, not if it bounces off the wall, on the way to the wall. Just like you're learning in the Sefer, you're only talking about the dam ra'ui to go into the yesod. Talk about the dam when you're spraying on the corners, the dam haroi to go to the corners, not lechatchila. It hit the corner and then it sprayed off of the corner and then haroi. Why can't you learn that way? So he says, "Hi, Mike." He says, "What's our time is this?" He says, "Hash the royal keren amrat loy, madach royal keren." You say not royal is sod nebaya. If you're starting off to say that the royal keren is also not going to be mechuyev in kibbutz, why would you ever mention royal yisod doesn't need kibbutz? If madach the three matanis, which are ready to be sprayed, and you say you get sprayed, you don't need to wash your clothing. Why would you mention now about Yisod, Royal Yisod? Of course, Royal Yisod is not going to be mechuyev kibbutz.
It's spelled out already after the three that you made the three.
Madach on the way to spraying the first three, you say and you spray yourself. You don't need kibbutz for sure. Royal Yisod doesn't need.
When you're on your way, in other words, after you did it.
No, on the way. He's asking, learn. Maybe the halacha is by the three matanis on the way, the blood on the way to hitting the corner is part of kibbutz.
Why would you say that?
You want it to be universal, just like you're learning yesod. It can only mean royally to go to the yesod. So learn that it's not mechuyev kibbutz. So say the reish is also only talking about royally, the blood that's royal to hit the corner, not that it hit the corner.
So
and
when do you do it? When do you have to wash?
Only by the first matana.
Only by the
First. So he says that wouldn't make sense. If you're saying that by the keren, by the other three matanis, on the way there, you're potter mikibus, why would you mention about the yesod? Of course you'll be potter. So he says, Ella, you have to say min hakeren mamish. By the matana, three matanis, when is he potter if it bounces off the corner? And the sefer is talking about min hayesod, min haroy or yisod. And by yisod, you're only talking about roy. It's different. If he missed one of the matanes, he's not forgiven. By mizbeich hapnimi, you needed side dam on the four corners, and you needed the sheva towards the parechas and the blood that came towards you. All of them. If you're missing one, it's no good. In the Torah it says befedish, side by the parachatos, and side the parakoina Mashiach. And Par Helam David, the Torah says befedish what you're supposed to do, and then he writes another pasuk you should do, just like here. So you heard by parachatos, meaning by Par Mashiach and Par Helam David, the Torah says specifically what has to be done. You have to spray on the four corners, and the sheva hazois. But the pasuk says another. The whole pasuk is extra. It says v'asa kasha ba'asa. Ma ba limit lichbel bihaza asay. It says v'as hakoin lapar kasha asa lapar chatos ken yasaloi. Why does it say another pasuk that whatever you did what the kohen did to the par. The kohen should do to the par. The par kohen Mashiach should do to the par like he did by the par Helam Dava. Why do I need that pasuk? If by the par Mashiach and par Helam Dava it says with Fedish separate psukim, why do I need a third pasuk? It says you might have an asa and kasha asa. You have a pasuk that it says you should do it, and then it says kasha asa like you did in the third pasuk. Why do I need the kasha asa? Ma balilmei. Why does he say the second time about the Havida of the Hazah of the Damapar? So we say the klal by Kachim Shina Hakasiv Me'akiv. He's come to tell you that if you even miss one of the Havidas, it's Le'as Aleikum. So I only know about the 7 Hazois, that if you're missing one of the 7 Hazois, the covenant is possible. That it's Ma'akiv. Yeah, he threw some this way, the Maila, because that should go further, and the blood stains that had to be closer to him, he threw Lamata, like this. But Matan Abba Benai, how do we know about the 4 bloods that went on the 4 corners? How do we know that if you're missing one of those bloods from the 4 corners, that it's of the Karnayim and the Sheva Hazois towards the Paroiches, towards the Kapetis in that direction? It says you want to Talmud Loy King Yasa. Then you have again extra words King Yasa. It says you want to, what about the word Lapar in the beginning of the pasuk? What is that referring to? Zeb Par Yom Kippurim. The pasuk is coming to tell you that the par of Yom Kippurim is similar to the par Helam Dava Shel Tzibur. Says the Gemara par that's mentioned in the pasuk Kasher Asla Par Zeb Par Koyin HaMashiach, and the pasuk is come to tell you all the matonis of the dam that they use by par Koyin HaMashiach is ma'akiv hachatas. What is the extra word hachatas come to tell you? Elu se'idei avids kechavim. This come to bring in a new carbon which is not mentioned in the pasuk by se'idei avids kechavim. Sorry that the tzibur served avodah zarah based on the hira of Bezdin. I would have thought that he's coming to include the Se'irei Harigolim and the Se'irei Dashi Hadashim. That it's Ma'akiv, that you need the 4 on the Kronos and you need the Shabazais. The Se'irei Dashi Hadashim, yeah, that was for the sin we had in Shavuos. It said, why did they bring the Se'irei Harigolim and Se'irei Dashi Hadashim? Because for somebody who didn't know if he was tummy when he entered the Beis HaMikdash, or he ate kodesh and he didn't know he was tummy. So Talmud Lema Loi says the Gemara King Yasa Loi. Only what is he coming to include? He's coming to include the only Se'irei Avodah Zarah. Abanisht Se'irei Arigol Masiri Rashi Chadashim. There it's not Ma'akiv.
So what's good enough?
Even if you're missing one, it's fine. In fact, the Gemara Mara Yisrael Rabbi says Shaloi Es Elo. What made you think that it's coming to include Se'irei Avodah Zarah? And he's coming. The law is coming to exclude Se'irei Haragolim Rashi Chadashim. Says the Gemara Achasheri Ba'Kosev. Once we found that the Torah is being marber chatos, mi'it, and just like we find the pasuk is being memayit with the word loy, merabani eselo. I'm including Se'irei Avodah Zarah mechapim al Avodah Mitzvah Yadua. That the Se'irei Avodah Zarah is only on a mitzvah. It says it has to be known. The noida. It says in the pasuk we finished that it has to be the noida achatos asher chatu Allah. Yeah, but it has to be a sin that they know about. So which one is a sin knowing about? Which one is more similar to the sin that you know about? Se'irei Avodah Zarah. That everybody sinned the Avodah Zarah based on the Psak of They don't know. It means it's for somebody who walked into the Beis HaMikdash not knowing whether he's tummy or not. So that's not. So it's a suffix, and the same thing if he ate kodesh. I think that's what. Let me see if he brings it down. But no, over here we got here. It says shenichnas lemikdash oy ochal kodesh v'lo yoder klal shenitma. He didn't know at all that he was tamei. V'gam la'achanikein lo ynoida lo shenichnas lemikdash oy ochal kodesh betuma. That's in Kimavoy Masach Tashvus. It says it says in Masach Tashvus. Okay, so it's not on a sin that's known. Versus Sidi Avodah Zarah, it's known, and that's where Mabed a carbon that's similar to the par how do you call it, to the par Mashiach or to par Helam David. These are things that they found out about. They're not mechapa only mistameh. Oh no, the Sidi Hagomim are not being mechapa on the Aveda Mitzvah Yedua, only on a chet shaloi neida alav, only a chet that they didn't become aware of. He brings down 5. Yeah, that's the one that I read from. The chiper. Now we have a chiper alei hakoyin. What is the chiper? The actual word the chiper coming to tell us. Afal pi shaloi somach. Even though before the shechita they would have to put the hands with the weight on the head of the behemoth, the smicha. So even though he didn't do the smicha, the nislach, he would still be forgiven. That's what chipa is to tell you, even though he didn't do smicha. The nislach, and the word v'nislach, afapi sheloi nasan es hashirayim, even though he didn't place the shirayim al yisrael hamizbeach, achitzayin, it wasn't part of the Aveda, he was still mechupa. No, so that's going to go on and on. I have to leave that for tomorrow. No, we'll stand to get Margaret and Philip Nud. Yeah. Okay, Mara Isa leaves. What made you see to passel the carbon in a place where Shaloi Nasabay Hazois Kedin Ulahashe Besmicha V'Shirayim? Why? You're going to be Machshe by Smicha V'Shirayim, but by the Hazois, you're going to say it's going to be Ma'akiv. Amarta Paisel Ani B'Mika Shaloi Nasa Hazois Kedin. We find that Hazois in other places, that if you're missing Hazois, it's Ma'akiv. So that's why I say I'm not going to be Mamayit, that over here Hazois is going to be Mutter. Because if I'm going to be Mamayit, let me be Mamayit, not something that normally is also, let me be Mamayit, something that sometimes is Mutter. Like Umar Shir, Ani Besmicha V'Shirayim, Shein Ein Meva'akvis B'chol Makim. It's not Ma'akiv in every place, only in some places. So we'll stop over here. Okay. Okay, good.